Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your hosts, award-winning sports collectibles author Tom Zappola and Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli.
Mr. P, how are you, brother?
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'm kind of moving around here in the office. Came back from Florida and got put all the stuff away that I took there. So that's what I do. My desk is packed.
Not for nothing, but you never even said thank you to me.
Thank you very much. For what?
For the car.
Oh, the car. Yeah. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, what do you want? Money?
It'll be nice.
Terrible.
That'd be really nice. Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zapp, my paisan, Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. What's going on? Oh, it's the psoriatic arthritis.
Hey, listen,
Wait, we have a doctor in the house.
Whoa, good.
All right, listen, we have a great show today.
My back too.
This show is we've been thinking out of the box, Rico and I, which is very, very, very seldom happens. This is a special show we're doing for you vintage collectors out there, for the Joe Marinos of the world, the Mike Varialis, the Scott Orrs, the guys that know nothing about Pokemon, like Rico and I. We're doing a Pokemon show. And you're going to learn. This is Pokemon 101. Our guest, as I said, my good friend, actually my doctor, Bryan Poole. He is an avid Pokemon collector and the expert, because if this guy wasn't on, we'd be in deep doo-doo. Logan Konjevich from Pristine Auctions. Logan is Pristine's resident Pokemon expert. And then our good friend, Jeromy Murray, who also knows nothing about Pokemon. But Jeremy's joining us because we're going to talk a little bit about the vintage market, compare what's going on with Pokemon, the vintage market, the modern market, and the whole industry and how it's being affected. Anything else, Rick? Did I miss something?
Yeah, no, you didn't. But my thoughts came to me that, what... Are collectors of all stature, are they afraid because Pokemon is a little bit with the type of cards they are? Are they afraid to go into it?
Actually, that's a good question. Good question.
Yeah, you could say down the line you could answer that, but
no, Logan. I guess when you're collecting T206 cards or T205s or Gaudis, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. It's a collection. I mean, Pokemon, man, I can't make heads or tails out of it. Can you just kind of how do you get? If I wanted to get into Pokemon, how would I do it?
Yeah, it can be tough when you get into like a new collectible world. There's a lot can be very, very overwhelming. So with Pokemon, it's kind of find something you like and go for it from there. But there is some cut and dry. There are certain characters or certain Pokemon that are always going to be valuable. So you have your Charizards, your Pikachu, even Ivysaur, Venusaur, Blastoise, Squirtle. Gengar is another really popular one.
Oh, I know Zengar. You know Zengar, Rico.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I had breakfast with him last week.
Oh, yeah. So if you have like a base understanding of just some Charizard, if you get Charizard, you're golden. He's number one, always will be.
All right, so I'm going to ask Bryan a question. Bryan, you started collecting, obviously, I think you and I chatting several months ago, maybe close to a year ago now in your office. We started, you knew what I did. And then the next visit you came in and basically you said to me, I don't know what the hell you did, but I started collecting Pokemon again. But you collected them as a kid, right? Tell us about
So
that.
I think so when I was 9 years old, it was the perfect storm of Pokemon. It was it's probably the mid to late '90s when Pokemon hit the scene, and it started out with I had Game Boy games, Pokemon Red and Blue, the original ones, and at the same time they had an anime on TV that you could watch every morning before school, and then they also had the cards they were selling in stores. So it was like a perfect storm for a 9-year-old to get into the hobby. So I was just collecting the cards as a kid. And I'm not into making money or like flipping these things. I'm just here to get some Pokemon cards, trade on the bus. And over time, I built a small collection as a kid. And then what happened was Pokemon was adding like hundreds of Pokemon every year, and it's hard to keep up with it. So in the beginning, they had the original 151 Pokemon, and I knew all of them. I knew every single one by name. But as the years goes on, it gets hard to keep up with it. So what recently happened was about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, they had a new set come out. That was the original 151. So those I all knew, so it was nostalgic. So I think that set brought a lot of people back to the hobby, because then I knew all these Pokemon. I started collecting. The art's different. It's like more pretty art. It's making tons of money. People are collecting these things, flipping these things for outrageous prices. So that got me back into it, and now I'm starting to learn all the new ones and like really enjoying it.
Yeah, for
Rico,
people.
you have a question, Rico?
Well, no, for people to learn this, as you were talking, I'm thinking you need seminars, you need some way, to teach collectors what it's all about, because the few things that you said about this, the names of some of them, it's like Japanese to me. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
What is
Yes.
Hey, Jeromy, you got to jump in today because you're as big a moron as Rico and I.
What's great about this, and points are being brought up here, I bet Pokemon collectors, when we're talking about T206 and 86, 87 Fleer and Tops and Gouty, they're saying the same thing. I have no idea what those guys are talking about. That's just how they are. And how Dr. Poole was saying it there is the nostalgia of this thing, and I've seen it with my time at Beckett, is what you had are kids that back in the day that played Pokemon or Magic the Gathering that were sort of nerds back then. And it was not the cool thing to do back then. Baseball cards sometimes weren't either. And now those guys have kids, they have money, and they can go back to what they weren't able to collect in the past. And they were there. Now they go in there and they're buying cards, and they realize that there's a monetary gain behind these to flip these cards or to collect them with their kids and have some fun with that. So it's a little bit of everything. So it's weird with me being from the sports side of this. I think the Pokemon guys would say the same thing about listening to a show about sports cards and collectibles with that than what we did. But what's wild about this is Pokemon started, it's a game. Like, it's a game that kids have tried to explain it to me before. You've got to do this to beat this person. And again, I glaze over. Old dog, new tricks. I've got no interest in learning about the Pokemon world, but it is real and it is out there, and there is money to be made in that. There is fun to be had with these guys collecting. So that's my thoughts on the TCG market in general.
All right, Logan, let's take a step back, because I know, I asked you to give me a couple of bullets, and I went online just to see what I could make out of all of this. One of the recommendations, it says choose a particular set or era of Pokemon cards, i.e. base set, Scarlet and Violet, and aim to complete it. So what is this set stuff all about?
So in it's like the equivalent, if I had to compare it to sports cards, it's the equivalent of like every year Bowman has Bowman Chrome, they have Bowman Prospects, they have like every year they have new sets that have their own versions of all the cards, right? So in Pokemon, it's the same thing. Every year, I think it's about 3 times a year or every 3 months, something like that, they release a new set. And that set has a set list, just like a checklist would be in sports, of cards that you could possibly pull. And of course, there's like some variants, some like secret ones, like to be serialized for sports. Your 1 of 1s, your 1 of 150s, whatever. They have similar concepts in Pokemon as well, but ultimately, when you get into a set, the difference between sets is just what's encased inside of it. So what are your chances of getting a certain thing?
Bryan, are you working on a particular set right now?
I'm working on all the sets, the more modern sets, anyways. I mean, to go back to like the base set from the '90s to complete that set, and it would be very expensive. And right now, I don't have that disposable income. But the newer sets, yeah, I at least go for I outline a certain percentage of the set that I want to complete. That I'm interested in the card, I'm interested in the art, and I'll go more for that instead of spending all my money.
Great.
Yeah.
No, I'm listening. It looks as though it's going to be like a niche. There's going to be a certain amount of people that'll go into it. Maybe younger collectors, maybe collectors as old as you, Tom. No, it might say, wait a minute. I don't understand this. I'm going to stick to the sports memorabilia and the baseball cards, etc. Basketball. It seems that it would be very difficult for, guys, when I say older, I don't know how much older, but that they would not want to get into that. And then there's some, who would, maybe some older, but mostly the younger generations who know more about it will continue, and that will grow. That part of it will grow. So,
for our viewers and listeners, make a comment, especially our collectors, our baseball, our vintage collectors. Would you consider dipping your toe in the water to collect Pokemon? I'm just curious to see how you guys.
Would you? You're a vintage collector.
At this stage, honestly, Rico, at this stage of my life, at my age, probably not. However, if this were 20 years ago, and I had completed what I wanted in the vintage card market, yeah, I would consider it. I would at least consider learning about it. I got to tell you,
20 years ago, right?
Yeah, I got to tell you guys something.
It's a great, collect. I mean,
we were at a card show in Florida. I was at a card show with a friend of mine in West Palm Beach, and there were probably 100 dealers. 40 of them, I counted them. 40 of them were Pokemon dealers.
Yep.
It was absolutely incredible, and the thing that was really kind of cool was the percentage of there was a large percentage of kids between the ages of. I mean, there were kids with their parents, but then there was a large percentage of kids between the ages of 13, 14, and 20 walking around with briefcases. It was unbelievable. It was trading, bartering. It was just crazy stuff. And I was impressed with it.
That's maybe the age that, will grow the Pokemon, will continue it. Like Bryan was 9 years old. I didn't realize it was going that far back that Pokemon started to become, popular. But and I'm not trying to discourage the older collectors to
you
into it. I'm just saying it just seems like it's going that way. That's all. And I'm very.
I think the kids are always going to get into it every year. The kids are going to get in. It's now you're seeing a lot more the 30 to 40 range. They're getting into it big time.
All right, but now here's a problem I have, and I have the same problem. By the way, Jeromy, I have the same problem in the modern card market, in our neck of the woods. I get discouraged though. Now, Bryan, you're a collector. And I know, I mean, and I did the same thing when I collected, when I was working on my T206 set, I would flip a card, make a few bucks, but I would use that money to buy another card that I really wanted, which is fine. I don't see that a lot. I mean, I see it in the Pokemon. There is a segment though, and the same thing with the modern market, Jeromy. There's a segment of collectors that I don't really consider collectors. They're investors.
Right.
They're buying cards. They're flipping them. It's like they're day trading.
Yep.
Am I wrong there? And Jeromy, do you see that? I mean, don't you see that on the card end of it also?
100%. The modern market as well, it is a gamble. So a lot of guys are prospecting on these young 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that may never make it past double A baseball to be the next big star. So you're gambling and you're flipping. And what I've learned about the sports card market is the flippers, they're there for investment. They're willing to take a small gain to move on to the next one. And if you go to the deeper side, the Pokemon, the comic book side of the business, a lot of the guys are in that for the artwork, for the nostalgia, for the collecting aspect of that. Obviously, there's money to be had there, but I see the sports cards are you want to flip, you want to move on to the next thing, like you were saying there. The non-sport type thing seems to be more of a collect, hold, this is what I want type thing on that. I'm going to go back to what you were saying about the card shows. We're seeing that a lot more when we travel to shows, and when 40 and 50% of the show is Pokemon, TCG, non-sport market. And I think it's an interesting market because there's a blend there. It's more of a Comic-Con feel because you have people dressing up as their favorite characters and cosplay and all that stuff, which is again, it's different world for me than what I grew up in as a sports collector. And for
Hold on, Brian. FYI, if I ever see you walk into the room dressed as a character, I'm going to start asking questions. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe Halloween only.
There you go. What's great with this, though, we're talking about kids with briefcases and things like that. I think there's some crossover where people, as they're getting into this and they're seeing that there's the collectible side of it, there's money to be made. You've got kids that say, you know what, I didn't know anything about Pokemon, or I didn't know basketball existed, or this card existed. So you get some crossover there. So I don't think it's a bad thing to have a mix like that, but I think show promoters now are taking it more into account that they've got to have special events or locations or allowing dealers like that in because it brings in a bigger audience to the collectible industry.
Now, Rico, you and I have seen on the vintage end, and I'm going to ask Logan this question and Brian. So, as Jeromy stated, you can speculate. I don't know, pick somebody. Fernando Tatis, okay? Baseball player. People invested in Fernando Tatis. He had some off-field issues, and his card dropped like a rock, okay? On the Pokemon side, Brian, I'm going to ask you this question. They're characters that never lived. They're characters that have there's no injuries. So what is the flipping based on? The market conditions, just like a stock?
Yeah, and I think what Logan was saying, there's specific characters that like everybody knows is going to be the chase card and the one you want to get. So like for example, Pikachu. Everybody knows Pikachu. If you get it on a Pikachu in every set and you keep that card pristine, years down the road that card's going to be worth something. If you grade it, it's going to be worth tons of money. So there's certain characters that you just know are going to always be worth it in investing in. Yeah.
Rick?
Well, no, I was thinking that a person could learn, or could a person learn about Pokemon doing just what you're talking about, going into buying a set or whatever, and finding out which one of these are,
That's a good question.
Oh,
I mean, can you randomly? I mean, can you learn?
You could learn. So there's tons of apps now where you can look at each set and you can look at every card in every set and you can literally track it like a stock. So you can see the price, the average price of the card, the last sold on eBay, last sold on whatnot, all these different places, and you can see how that card tracks on a daily basis on what people are selling it for.
So go ahead. No, I was going to say, so people like baseball cards, for instance, there's emotion involved. Is there emotion involved in Pokemon?
Good question.
I mean, you got,
Rico, that's two good questions.
Hey,
you're an expert, Rico. You're becoming an expert.
Really?
No, I'm got questions about it. Like we talk. I'm concerned about, the industry. I'm a marketing guy. I'm concerned about the industry growing, the kids coming up and continuing the industry, and because it's a great hobby. There's no doubt in my mind.
Logan?
Yeah, so that is a good question. And the more I thought about it as you were talking, I was like, okay, there has been situations where the Pokemon company who makes Pokemon cards, who designs them. Now there's two different factions of that. There's the one in Japan and there's the one in America. The sets are slightly different, but there's been decisions that they've made in the past that have been very negatively impacted a set's price. It may be the type of characters they include, or it may be a type of art that they like feature for a style for that. People just don't like it. And so then they just go, yep, nope, can pass on this set. And that can
okay.
And then it can go back up with the next one. Maybe they learn from their lessons. Usually they'll take feedback pretty well.
All right, listen, before we take a break, question for you, Logan, or you, Bryan. In the baseball card collecting world, there's one Mona Lisa, and that's the Honus Wagner card. Is there a Mona Lisa in Pokemon?
Yeah. So if you asked it kind of depends. There's two answers to that. So if you just look at just your general collector, they're probably going to say base set, first edition, Charizard, in like a PSA 10, right? That hundreds of thousands of dollars. However, there is one card that I would say is above that just because of its pure rarity, and that would be the Japanese Illustrator Pikachu.
Bryan, that's the one you have, right?
No, I don't have that
one. I think that one holds the record right now. And I think the last one that was bought was Logan Paul bought it for, I think it was multiple millions.
Now, why is that, Logan? Because there's so few of them?
Yeah, there's only like a handful ever made, ever. And this one graded a PSA 10, I think it was. So
Rico, we got to get our hands on one.
There's one right now on eBay, PSA 9, $4 million.
PSA 9.
All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Bryan Poole's in the house, Logan Konjevich, Jeromy Murray, Petroselli, and Zappola. We're going to take a quick break. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Let's go! Batter up!
Hi, everyone. This is Rico Petroselli. JustCollect.com. A leader in the vintage sports card industry is giving free appraisals on your vintage cards. They'll evaluate your collection for free and let you know the value of it at no cost and no obligation. If you're ready to sell, JustCollect.com will offer you industry-leading prices to buy your card collection. To begin your free baseball card appraisal, visit JustCollect.com or call them at 732-828-2261. That's JustCollect.com for your free vintage card appraisals and top buy prices for your cards. Check out JustCollect.com today.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
with record-breaking sales from everything from the white border T206 Honus Wagner for $3.12 million to some great items that support the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Golden Auctions has set the highest standards for the finest in sports cards, autographs, and game-used memorabilia. We're always accepting consignments of high-end premium sports treasures or entire collections. Please register for our next auction and bid now at goldenauctions.com. That's golden with an I. We at Golden Auctions are committed to providing unsurpassed customer service for the discriminating collector. That's exactly why we're the leader in the industry. Visit goldenauctions.com or call 856-767-8550. Remember, Golden Auctions. We don't just break records, we shatter them.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Well, look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back. And Bryan Poole, Logan Konjevich, Jeromy Murray in the house. We're talking Pokemon. But before we get to Pokemon, I'm real excited about this one, Rick. It's time for our segment On Deck with Rico, brought to you by our good friend Brian Dwyer and the great staff at REA Auctions. Don't forget to get your bid in by going to robertedwardauctions.com. That's Robert Edward Auctions for extraordinary results and extraordinary service. Now, for those the guys here, I know Jeromy knows this. Every week, a viewer sends a question in for Rico. This week, I blew him off. Today's question is submitted by one Tom Zappala.
Jeez, he's a fraud.
Wow, tough room. Rico,
What?
what are your thoughts on the Devers situation moving to first when, in fact, All-Star Rico Petrocelli was asked to move from shortstop to third base back in the 70s, wound up in a World Series, and did so for the good of the team? If anybody should be giving their opinion, it's Rico Petrocelli. Rick, what are your thoughts on Devers?
I'll tell you this. When he didn't want to go to DH originally, I said, geez, Big Poppy, he's a Hall of Famer. He was a DH basically, most of his career. But this is different, Tom. The second thing that they're asking him to do, I don't agree with the Red Sox.
Really?
That's right. I do not agree with the Red Sox. I think you're moving them around too much. And let me tell you, don't think it doesn't affect you when you go to another position. Okay. I was very fortunate to have Frank Malzone. He was working for the organization as a scout, and he really helped me at third. I'm telling you, those balls come down there.
So was there a big difference between short and third? Is there a big difference?
Yeah, there is. Not only the bunt, but the ball. You don't see the ball come off the bat like you do at shortstop.
Jump in here, guys. By the way.
Yeah, no, I think the kid is right in this time. This is too much. I hope they. I hope they don't trade him. He can hit. Let him DH because he's starting to become happy. He's starting to hit. That's just my opinion.
All right, so let me ask you. This is one that you're going to really think that I'm whacked. But
what
about moving a guy like Story to first and bring up the kid Mayer, put him at short?
Who? Mayer?
Yeah. The kid in AAA.
He's a hell kicker prospect. No, I wouldn't do that.
Really?
Nope.
So what are you going to do? I mean, you got two crappy first basemen right now.
Yeah, but you got to realize something. This is early in the season. They're still in it. You know what I mean? They're in it. They're in the hunt. Right now, they're playing 500 ball with a little more pitching and hitting, which they score runs. They can score runs. You don't want to do that. Stop messing around. You're going to bring these young kids up. Usually, you bring one rookie up, but if you bring more than that, it's usually when the teams they're just
out of the hunt.
They're rebuilding. Now I disagree with this second one. The first one I agree with them. Everybody there. I was PO'd at him too. What are you doing? So you're a DH. Look at Big Poppy, the Hall of Famer. So, but now, oh geez, we want you to move to first base. What? Another way? You leave me alone. I'm just adjusting to the DH.
Okay.
Because we didn't have free agency, I probably would have had to do it. But
you didn't argue. But hold on. When they asked you to move from shortstop to third base when they brought in Louis Aparicio,
right?
You didn't. I mean, you didn't argue with them, did you?
Not at all. I said, "That's fine. That's okay with me if it's going to help the team." Okay, but what if they said, "Okay, Rico, you played third, but geez, we're thinking, would you move over to second base or left field?" Holy geez! Now,
okay. All right, that makes sense.
Get in my head. I don't know.
All right.
Hey, can I ask that real quick?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you signed Bregman? When they signed Bregman, did you like that sign? So they played the same position? Okay.
I loved it.
Okay.
I was so hoping right from the beginning that they would do that, because when Devers first came up with his build and all that, he was a decent third baseman, and he was adequate. We thought that the move would be first base. Keep him in the infield, and not that first base is easy, but he could adjust. And that I thought, and a lot of people thought that was going to be the plan.
I mean, a lot of people were pushing for that because no one is overly happy with Casas, But
anyway, so but Bregman's a heck of a player, both offensively and defensively.
You guys, the other two guys, you guys want to add anything?
No.
Okay. All right. Listen, I have a question for Logan. Logan, fake cards. How do you spot a fake card? And are there many fake cards floating out there?
Oh yeah. there's from the time I was a kid, there's been fake cards. But granted, back then I didn't realize I had traded a few fake cards myself. The biggest way to spot them is obviously there's texture difference. If you have a real one and a fake one next to each other, the fake ones kind of have like too much of a sheen. They don't have like a nice matte texture to them. There is also the real printers, they use layered techniques. So the middle of every Pokemon card has like a black cardboard layer, which then leads us to the next like test that you can do to test if something's fake, is they call it the light test. So if you take like your phone flashlight and hold it up to the back of the card, the fakes, you can pretty much read right through it. It's super thin. There's nothing keeping the light from passing. But the real ones, you can't really see the light unless you straight touch it to the card. And then you can see just a little hint of it. Now that doesn't work with foils though. It only works with like non-hollow cards. Holographic ones, the fakes can get pretty good, but usually the hollow is off. So if you look up a picture of what that card's supposed to look like, usually they don't quite have the hollow quite right, and it's pretty easy to tell. Outside of that, you're looking at font. Usually it's a little blurry. If you look at like the letters and stuff, they have a hard time getting that nice crisp printing on there. But that's pretty much the big ones to look for.
Bryan, have you been burnt with fake cards at all? So far, so good.
I don't think I would know, to be honest. I mean, I think that if the font was blurry, I have seen like fake cards on like Reddit or Twitter, and I'm like, that card looks fake just by the font alone. But that was a good tip on that light trick. So when I get cards from eBay or whatever, I'm gonna use the light trick now to check it.
Bryan, what do you use? What do you use as third-party grading houses?
I'm using multiple. So I do PSA. I do CGC, and also like so Pokemon is probably a little different than sports. I think CGC is becoming huge in Pokemon, probably less so in sports. And also like there's a new one, Tag. I don't know if sports cards using Tag at all.
No,
I actually sent some to Tag because it's cheaper than PSA, because PSA keeps going up in price now. And what I like about Tag, I actually have one here. I can show it. So here's one. I like how clean it looks.
Oh, it's a nice looking loader.
Yeah, it's really clean. It's crisp. And what I like about it is it has the QR code, so you can scan it, and it's AI grading, so it's all computer grading. So it tries to eliminate some of that subjectivity from the PSA graders. But the best part about it is they actually, when you go out and do this QR code, it'll show my card, and it'll show every detail about how it got the grade, like the edges, the corners, everything. And then it'll show the rank of my card compared to every card graded.
Really?
So I have some cards that mine's the number one card graded there. So then you can kind of use it as a negotiating power for when you're selling it. So that's what I like about it.
Jeromy, are you familiar with Tag?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I was with Beckett with grading for 23 years, so have a great relationship with the guys at Tag and the guys at CGC. And so, yeah, it's what you're talking about. CGC, they're grading. They do a lot of events overseas in China, in that area there, because this market is so big there. And so when you're saying that they have less of a sports market on that, I think you're dead on with that. And I think a lot of the grading companies are having to shift. I know when I left Beckett, 40 or 50% of our business at that time was starting to move to the TCG market. And so grading companies have had to adjust and bring in experts to be ready to adapt to the market.
You know what's interesting, Rico? A couple of weeks ago, if you remember, we had Bryan Drent on, and I've asked this a couple of times. I was surprised as to how many of our vintage auction houses know nothing about Tag. Joe Orlando, I was talking to Joe. I says, Joe, what do you know about Tag? He said, absolutely nothing. Same thing with Bryan Drent. So I guess they are gravitating towards the Pokemon stuff. Bryan, can you hold up a couple of your other tidbits there?
Yeah, so here's a PSA 9 on a Pikachu. This is a special illustration rare from one of the recent sets. That's like a $300 card. it was a lot more when it first came out because everyone was trying to flip it for like $4,000. So that's Pikachu. That's the one everybody knows, you know. I got some. So here's what the old school. So this is like a more vintage card.
Now, did you collect this when you were a kid? Is that one from when you were a kid?
It might have been. It's either from a kid or I bought it recently for a deal. But this is what they look like when I was a kid. You know, the artworks and the top part of the card, and you got the attack moves down here for people to play the game. And then this is a modern card. Just came out in the one of the newer sets, Journey Together. So you look at the difference. It's like a full art card. This is also a special illustration rare, I think. Yep. So that's a full art card, and that's what's really attractive to the new sets. Is you got these. The art's very appealing, so that's why I think it's getting more popular.
Interesting.
I have a question for you guys. As the millions of collectors that are listening and watching, what should they do to start out in the business? What's your suggestion?
It's a great question. You mean talking about for Pokemon?
Pokemon, of course.
Yeah. Logan, great question.
I think that depends. So there's two schools of thought. Depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be kind of like the investor type of collector, like we talked about earlier, where you want to try to make money on the situation? Because in that situation, you're going to stick to probably buying singles and trying to flip them. Opening packs, as fun as it is not the way to go for making money. If you're looking for a specific character and you're more of an actual collector, or you're trying to complete a set, opening can be helpful in getting like a base start, and then you fill in your blanks with some singles. That's probably the most sensible way to go about it.
Bryan, do you do most of your buying on eBay or auctions?
That's a hard question right now because it's hard to find them. I mean, last year I could get them in the stores anywhere I wanted. Like I could get the sets and just buy them at Walmart, Target, and walk out and start ripping them. Now you can't find them anywhere because these scalpers are following around the delivery trucks. So now, what I do is you actually have to sign up for like notifications on your phone from like Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, and they'll send you like, oh, new in stock at Walmart, and you get on Walmart and you're trying to buy this ETB, which is a case of 9 packs, and within 3 seconds it's sold out.
That's unbelievable.
It's like a war, a battle to get the cards. But yeah, I'll buy singles. Like if I really want a specific single from a set, eBay. Sometimes I'll go on Whatnot a couple of times. I'm getting more careful about that. But sometimes there's some decent streamers there that sell cards.
Rico, you're real familiar with Whatnot, right?
Whatnot? Yeah. No, sure. Not what?
Last year, no, the reason I'm saying that, as I was telling Bryan this, so last year at the National, Jeromy and Logan, we did the broadcast from the show, from the main stage, and the main stage was the Whatnot stage. So Rico and I walk up, big yellow stage, and he says, "What the hell is Whatnot?" I had no clue either at the time, right? But we broadcasted from the Whatnot stage. It's very, very funny. Very funny. Yeah. We're chatting with Bryan Poole, Logan Konjevich, and Jeromy Money.
I like it. I've not been called that. I like that.
Murray. Right. So I'm going to ask Bryan this question. Bryan, what card are you chasing right now?
Right now there's a set called Prismatic Evolutions that I cannot get my hand on. It's like there's a certain Pokemon called Eevee, and he evolves into like, I forget how many, maybe 9 different Pokemon. I could be off of that number, but that's very popular. All of those evolutions of that one Pokemon are very popular. And there's one card, Umbreon, that everybody wants. It's like and so I would love to get that card, but right now it's $3,000 to get it. I'm not willing to drop that right now. I'm hoping the market bursts in a few months as new sets come out, But that's one of them.
Logan,
same question to me.
Yeah.
That is a great question. I was never really a collector. I was kind of that investor style. I tried to flip it a lot, and that's why I learned so much about it. But if there was one card that I could just have, it would probably be they call it Chonkachu, but it's a big Pikachu on big full art card, and it's like rainbow, and it comes from Vivid Voltage.
Nice. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We have one more segment. Bryan Poole, Logan Konjevich, Jeromy Murray, all Pokemon guys. Rico Petrocelli, the most famous Pokemon guy in the country. He just doesn't want you to know that.
Well, yeah, that too. I know. Give away secrets.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Hang in there. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection, to the famed Boston Garden Auction, to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. Highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Hey, I'm Mike Petroselli. If your company is looking for the best in marketing and promotional items, you'll hit a home run with Petroselli Marketing. With over 8,000 suppliers and 650,000 imprint-ready items, we can get your company the visibility it needs to get your maximum exposure. Whether it be office promotions, wearables, automotive, sports items, and everything in between, Petroselli Marketing can do it all. Our design staff will even work with you from concept to delivery and customize your products. At Petroselli Marketing Group, we will get your brand in front of your audience. Contact us at info@petrosellimkt.com or call us at 603-880-3202. That's Petroselli Marketing, where no dream is impossible.
Yeah, go to petrosellimkt.com. You can see all the products. But he goes nationwide. He's got clients all over the country. So if
wait a minute. What do you mean he?
What do you mean he? My son. Mike.
Yeah, but you were the founder of the company.
Yeah, but still, I
mean, you're getting a piece of the action.
I get nothing.
I don't believe that for what? I don't believe that for 1 minute.
I get a pin, I'm lucky.
Yeah, I don't believe that for 1 second.
I'm telling you, why would I lie?
Yeah, I asked you for a freaking pen.
His old man,
I asked you for 1 pen.
Well, you got
yeah, Michael had to mail it to me. All right.
One pen, he got 1 pen.
That's it. No, all kidding aside, the products are really good. Every once in a while, I kind of shake Michael down to send me something. I'm not going to lie to you. Recently, Michael sent me one of those 3-prong, for your iPhone, your computer. It just charges everything at once. It's great. But today, Rico, Coastal Threads commuter backpacks. He's got a great selection of backpacks that are phenomenal, and I just ordered a couple for my grandkids. So.
Wow. No, he's really done a good job.
No, Michael's a great kid. All right, listen, before we get back to our guest, I want to talk to you about our good friend, Tom Ruggie, and the staff at Destiny Wealth Management. If you're a card and memorabilia collector, have you ever thought about how to manage your collection long-term? Well, I certainly have. I look at my personal collection, and through the advice and expertise of Tom, I've learned that you need a professional to help you categorize, evaluate, and eventually put a liquidation plan together with your dealers or auctioneers if you or your family decide that you want to sell your collection. Most importantly, you need to be aware of the tax ramifications when you liquidate. Go to destinyfamilyoffice.com for more information. I can't stress it enough. It's a great, great, great company if you value your investment. And by the way, Brian, I'm sure you do, but for our collectors and viewers, we talk about this all the time. I can't stress the importance of having your collection insured. Collectables Insurance Company, that's what they specialize in. They are the cream of the crop when it comes to collectibles insurance and memorabilia. So think about them also. right, let's get back to our guest. First of all, you guys going to be at the National, Jeromy, right? Any surprises for the National?
We are actually working on that now. We will be in the corporate area. We've got a great booth right there amongst all the other corporate giants, and we're the exciting thing that we're doing this year. The live auction format. You talked about Whatnot. We have our own version of Whatnot, the Pristine Live Auction, that has just exploded in the past year. So Jared will be there on site doing live auctions there. And so we're excited about that. Obviously, we'll have our show exclusive auction items that are there for only that are available for people that attend the auction or the national, which is also great. And then just displaying some of the great pieces that we'll have up for auction.
Is your Pokemon inventory gaining strength with your daily auctions, your elite auctions? Do you have a lot of Pokemon in there?
Yeah, it absolutely. That's one of the things that I was sort of biting my tongue when you guys were talking about that with auctions. I want everybody to know that you can absolutely buy Pokemon cards on our site.
Right.
Graded, unopened product. It is growing in popularity with featured auction, like you said, featured auction, daily auctions, and our live auction format. If you're not involved with the Pokemon market right now, you're really, really missing out. So we are absolutely ramping up our business there. So Logan remains busy weeding through all of our Pokemon.
I want to ask, I asked Rico to ask you this question, but he obviously forgot. Logan, tell us about your background.
My background. Well, I was a locksmith for 10 years. That was where I started working, but that obviously has nothing to do with any of this. And then I ended up finding Pristine back in 2016, started working here then as just in their listing department and was just putting stuff on the site. I left because of some issues with my dad and then came back because I heard actually that they needed a lister who had knowledge of Pokemon. So that's ultimately why I came back in about 2022 and been here ever since. And now I'm in charge of looking through all the Pokemon and stuff that comes through.
They can come on in, Bryan. Come on, tell them to come on in. It's another collector.
You get into something that you like. I always tell my grandkids, you got to get something you like that, sure, if you have passion for it, that's especially, but if you like that and you're good at it, so it's something you like to do. But Pokemon is one area. I'm used to baseball cards and now basketball, football, and all those cards. So that's even expanding, getting even more popular. But the combination of the two, is there time in the day for a new collector to say, I'm going to learn about Pokemon, but I'm also going to look, at other stuff, other cards and other sports?
That's a good question. Are there collectors that collect both?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. There is actually, I think, a lot of collectors, because even though Pokemon can be overwhelming when you first glance at it, it's ultimately, if you're looking at it from the standpoint of getting just some specific cards, there's not a whole lot. And if you can learn just a very small amount of information, then you can really get into it. So I do think it's pretty accessible.
Yeah.
Bryan, you've been collecting now as an adult for the last couple of years. As a kid, do you look at it as a hobby or do you look at it as a stock?
Great question. Both. So I just had twin boys, so they're 2 years old. So I'm stuck at home a lot right now. So it became a hobby kind of when they were born, to kind of at home, like, what do I want to do with my time here, with my rare free time, and I started collecting Pokemon cards again. But then I look at it and I'm saying, man, these cards they're worth a lot of money as I'm collecting them, and I'm seeing their price just go up, and I'm like, you know what? And I'm using my more disposable. I'm not paycheck to paycheck here trying to buy the cards. So for me, I'm like, you know what? Some of the ones that I really want to keep, those are always be mine for my personal collection. But I'm like, hey, when my kids enter the college age, if I have a bunch at that time, if they're worth more money, I might, if it's still going on strong, I might try and sell them. We'll see how it goes.
That's a good point.
Not as much emotion involved because when we first started the show, I used to ask, why are you getting into that? Is it just for the money? It's no, people. There's emotion. There's a player there that they remember when they were young, and they brought their kids. Okay, Pokemon. It doesn't seem like there's any emotion because unless it's the colors, right? So
there are some emotions. I would say from when I was 9 years old, I always started with one Pokemon in the video games, Bulbasaur, and so that's my favorite Pokemon. So when I see a Bulbasaur for sale and it's a good deal, I'm taking it.
You're bringing up a good point, Rico. Like the collecting that I've done over the years, and I'm really on the back nine now. I've pretty much liquidated all my cards because I'm getting into the memorabilia pretty heavily. But I had, and Jeromy, maybe you can chime in here. We have about a minute and a half left. I was passionate about the T206 set. That was the first book we wrote. The book did phenomenally well, but I loved it. I wrote the book because I loved the set. But you talk about the 33 Gaudy set. I never had a lot of passion for that. You know what I'm saying? There were certain sets that I really, really love. 52 tops, T206s, maybe the Cracker Jack set. But I really never had a lot of passion for the 41 play ball or the 33 Gaudis or the T205s. Is that the case for many people, Jeromy, in the hobby?
Yeah, I think Logan said it well. We're talking about the Pokemon set. Is there are sets that people don't like. They don't like the design. They don't like the characters, and so they pass on that. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is you go with sort of what you love and what you grew up, and you just sort of gravitate to that set, and then that passes down to your kids, and they're involved with the collectible world. I think there's so much that crosses over between the non-sport collectible world and the sports card world that we have in this. Is odd as it sounds to hardcore sports fans and collectors like Rico. I think the same thing can be said about the Pokemon there. Like I showed you guys before we came on here, I've got Pokemon all over my house, and I have absolutely no idea. But my son loves it, and his face lights up when he opens a pack of that stuff, and that's great. And I bet it's the same way that when we open a new pack of cards, or you get a vintage card, or you find a single somewhere, you light up just because it's what you're looking for.
Absolutely. We're just about out of time. Hey, one note. I think I mentioned it to a few people. Ellen and I we were really honored. We were contacted by the Baseball Hall of Fame, and we're going to be doing a book signing, and I'll be giving a talk there in July at the Hall of Fame. We were blown away that they asked us. I'm going to be talking about the book that we wrote for Kenny Kendrick, owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's called the Diamondback Collection.
Ellen should be the one talking. What the hell do you know about it?
Good point. That's a very good point. Ellen, I'm going to sit on Ellen's lap, and I'm going to be, she's going to just move my head. So, but no, we're really excited about it, and it's a great honor. They only bring in 2 or 3 authors a year. We're really, really excited about it. With that being said, Bryan, I can't thank you enough.
Man, guys,
I asked Bryan a couple of weeks ago. I thought you were going to say no, but I'm so glad you joined us. Logan, fantastic job. Sorry, Rick?
I said, wait till you see your bill.
Jeromy, thank you so much. Bryan, go easy on me next week. I have an appointment with you. I don't know if you know that. No costumes. I'm begging you. No costumes.
Don't worry about it. You won't.
With that being said, to our viewers and listeners, we can't thank you guys enough. The support has been absolutely off the charts. We've got some great appearances coming up. We're going to be at the National. We're going to be at the Boston show. We're going to be in Philly in September for the Philly show, the 50th anniversary. We're going to have some fun this summer. With that being said, guys, thanks so much, and happy collecting.
Take care.
Thank you, guys. Here we go.